Session ended like 48 hours ago, and I cannot believe it took him that long to text you back.
But he did.
But he did. Our first text with a Republican. Oh my God.
So scary.
It's kind of like the epitome of the last day, though. Like, I don't know. I guess we could just get into it. Like,
Yeah.
one of the really dumb things that they do, like, it seems like summer camp. I don't know how many, or like for those Mormons like me that didn't go to summer camp, went to like girls camp, you know, on the last day everyone has like little gifts and they do pictures and everyone's parents are there for some reason.
You do a performance for your parents, a little skit,
exactly.
sing your songs.
It's like the last day of school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like sometimes the legislators will give each other presents, and I will say this year Cal Musselman did win that game.
He did. And I'm proud of him for that.
I am too.
At least they can joke a little bit, but he gave all of the other legislators a pair of nail clippers. Famously from our video that we posted
during the special session.
With a video of him clipping his fingernails on the floor of the Senate.
Yes.
And it was
We'll put in
gnarly.
a picture right here if you haven't seen it, but like he literally took screenshots from the video and then also screenshots of comments on the video about his nail clipping and put it in on a little flyer and then gave everyone nail clippers. And honestly,
Touche, Cal.
It was perfect. Like, one, at least he could take a joke, but two, like, it's so perfect and I love it. And it was so perfect that we couldn't help ourselves. We sent Cal Musselman a little texty text.
We just said good work. That was good move.
Like, genuinely,
touche.
That is funny. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, and he texted back.
Yeah.
He also thought it was a good joke. So.
That's good. Glad he thinks it's
no shade to Cal Musselman. He caught some strays in that video, but he did it to himself. I don't feel accountable for that.
Rule number 1 is you should never clip your fingernails in public.
Not ever. Who does that?
With clippers, the snips. I can't.
The snips. Anyway, yeah, go watch that video if you haven't. It's a good one. Anyway, so all this to say, session is over. Officially over.
Yes.
Thank God.
Should we do our intro?
Yes. We should. Yeah.
I'm Jackie Morgan.
I'm Gabby Finlayson. We are Elevate Utah, and this is what the hell is happening.
What the hell happened?
This is what the hell has happened, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're done.
Yeah. I do feel like the story of the gifts and the nail clippers perfectly epitomizes what happens on the last day of session or last couple of days of session. Like, it is all a performance. It's all a joke.
I mean, the whole session is a performance, but specifically the last couple of days, they really lose the plot, I fear.
But also, it is a perfect metaphor for everything else. Like, this is all for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is not for anyone else.
This is not for the public. This is about them. That is exactly right.
Yeah, like, not only the legislation they're passing is for them, but also the, like, show of everything they do and the jokes and the
constantly of them being like, I'm going to explain my vote even though no one's ever going to watch that back.
No one's watching.
Or, like, I just want to put that on the record anyway.
What record?
Like, who's looking at the record?
Other than us.
This is not for anybody. Yeah.
They really think that, like, people pay attention to, like, every moment of session. Like, they don't have other things going on in their lives.
Well, it's really hard, too, because it's funny to be on both sides of this. So, like, obviously outside of us, quote unquote, reporting on, I don't know what you call it, what's going on in Utah politics, we also run campaigns. Like, that's what we actually do for our jobs. And so it's so interesting sometimes when you talk to people that are in the legislature that are running for re-election, not necessarily our clients, but like everyone, right? Mm-hmm. They always think that their constituents know what they have been doing during the session, what they've done in the years prior. And it's really hard to try and explain to them. Like, I understand that you are in it so deep and you think that people are paying attention, but nobody remembers what happens except for like some of the really, really big things. And 99% of the time, those big things that happen have nothing to do with the people that are running.
Yep.
So.
And also the big things that happened, like, I think if you're a normal person and you think about what happened this session, those big bills probably didn't actually pass.
No, that's exactly right.
Which is the craziest part of it.
Well, and that's like, I guess like that kind of gets us into like what the real story of this session is, which is that personal politics, online beef, who got too much media attention, and who was running for office. really dictated what passed this year and what did not pass. And like, it had nothing to do with the policies. It had everything to do with who was involved.
Mm-hmm. The narrative outweighed the policies.
And
the narrative outweighed anything that actually had to do with session or actually what happened.
For sure. 100%. Yeah, they passed a ton of like really important bills about the Great Salt Lake and about water. No one knows that.
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't talked about it because like it's not our area of expertise, but like outside of the people that like are listening to the things that we have to say, like no one would be like, ah, yeah, big year for water, unless you work for a lobbying group that cares about water. Mm-hmm. It's wild.
So honestly, overall, this session, like, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. Which we said sort of as a joke to a lobbyist one of the last couple of days, and she pointed out rightly that like everyone sees the session through the lens of the issues that they care the most about. Mm-hmm. And so for some people, like some years can be super great, and for other people, the same session would be really, really awful. And like, it all depends on what you care about. But amazingly this year, almost everyone that we talked to was like, had some big wins, either in moving the needle forward in a genuine way or stopping really, really bad things from passing. Like there wasn't hardly anyone that we talked to that was like, yeah, this session's been awful for us, which is wild, unless you're Trevor Lee.
Which is interesting because it's an election year and typically like
they do the opposite.
Yeah.
They like want their credentials to like check their boxes of like, we did this and this and this for you, which like they still can do this year. It's just like other things. And there is part of me that wonders, you know, on the immigration stuff and on like the trans community, normally those are like kind of the big punching bags that they have. But it was also interesting to hear behind the scenes that some of the Republican legislators just don't really have an appetite for it anymore. They're like also kind of bored of it. They're like, okay, like we've done so much bad stuff to trans people. Like, can we do something that actually helps my constituents?
Yeah.
So I can go tell them I did something for them instead of just like hurting another community, which is not a good re-election message.
No. And I don't know. It's interesting that like they've lost the appetite to fight on these things. I also wonder if it's because they're running scared a little bit. I mean, like it's an election year and I think they know it's going to be a blue wave year. I think they know that potentially putting Prop 4 on the ballot with their names is already not a good look.
Yeah.
And they've had so much bad attention the last couple of sessions that it was a year to like try and put their heads down and work, I guess. I feel like we're giving them credit and that is weird.
It's not, look, regardless of whatever the motivations are, I think we'll take it, right? Like, not as bad as it could have been, or survivability is a super low bar, and we definitely recognize that. But given what was on the table at the beginning of session,
it could have been so bad.
It could have been really, really bad, and I think that's fair. And one of the things that we typically joke about is that the legislative session is a genuine waste of time. Like, they should all just put their wish list on the back of a napkin and give it to the governor, and we can all save ourselves 45 days of, like, money and emotional damage.
Yeah. It's a performance. The whole thing is a performance.
Right. But this is the first year in a long time where it didn't
exactly feel like that.
Like, it wasn't a performance in the same way. Like, going through the process actually mattered, whether it was genuine, like, public outcry killing bills, which a lot of that did happen this year, amazingly, but also because they clearly had some internal beef that they needed to work out, and that they wanted some public humiliation, and they wanted to give people some lashings, and they did that too, and I am not mad about it.
Which led to some surprises.
Big
like,
surprises.
actually a lot of surprises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is, like, our big takeaway from the session, to just, you know, say it from the beginning here.
Stop listening.
But it's like, the policy didn't matter. They didn't kill the bills because they were bad bills. They didn't, like, not pass things because they were good or bad or because they wanted to improve people's lives. They killed things because of, like, personal beef and politics. And I think that's a hard thing to explain to people. And, like, people joke it's a sausage factory, which is the worst metaphor in the entire world.
How the sausage gets made, not the other, not a sausage fest.
But you don't want to see.
But that too, also.
It is also a sausage fest.
Gross.
You don't want to see what's actually going on behind the scenes because, like,
it's so much worse.
It's so much worse.
And better, in that it's more entertaining, but, like, it's grim.
High school.
It is. It really is. I think that was in no way better exemplified than with 3 specific legislators.
Ooh, 3.
3 legislators, and for different reasons. Trevor Lee, Nicolene Peck, and Nate Bluen.
Yep.
Obviously we have different feelings about these 3 people, and I'm not trying to bucket them together, but this personal beef stuff was perfectly laid out with these 3 legislators. So the thing that everyone's been talking about, at least in our comments and in our little world, is that Trevor Lee, who we've talked about many times.
Too much.
But, like, just the biggest bigot you can imagine. He is super honest about why he is running the bills he's running. He is homophobic, transphobic, anti-immigrant, anything, everything. He is, like, one of the most... I can't even think of the right word, like genuinely disgusting legislators that we have.
Yeah. And if you want a full breakdown on why Trevor Alfred Lee is the most disgusting,
go listen to our last episode.
Go listen to the last episode. And like, not only his history, but also we ran through all the bills that he ran and the reasons why he isn't passing very many bills, but somehow it got worse.
Not very many bills, Jackie. This
0.
man went 0 for 12 this year, which is a title normally reserved for progressive Democrats in the Utah legislature. But this year, Trevor Lee went 0 and 12, and that is a huge win for the state in general. But it also tells you a lot about what you need to know about the internal dynamics in the Republican Party in the legislature. Trevor Lee is someone who I think they recognize is very bad for their brand. I guess we can just pause really quickly as a quick disclaimer. Most of what we're going to be talking about today is rumors, alleged rumors, things that we've heard, things that people have told us, like, anonymously. So, like, none of this is a statement of fact. This is what we've heard. So don't sue us. This is just what we're saying. This is what we've heard.
We're just giving you the gossip.
We're giving you the gossip. This is all gossip. That's
This
perfect.
is what it's like to be at the Capitol.
Yeah, people just come up to you and they tell you stuff. So the other thing we've heard about Trevor Lee is that he's also kind of important for leadership, like, historically. He's the one that can get all of the really far-right people in line to vote for a priority for leadership if they're close on votes. But this year we did not. I think they're done. I think they're sick of it. Like, they're as sick of it as everybody else.
Yeah, when you also have Republican legislators going after other Republican legislators on Twitter and tweeting horrific things, that's not good for anyone.
No, and it makes it really hard for other people in that caucus to justify supporting his bills, because anyone that is running against that person can say, look at what the very clear stated motivations for this bill were, and your representative voted for it. And it's bad. It's bad stuff.
I also wonder, who knows if this is true, but I do wonder if the Harvey Milk Boulevard Charlie Kirk bill was not approved by leadership.
I don't think it was. And there's no way.
He, like, before session even started a media tour around this bill. I mean, and media being, like, his personal Twitter account.
That got picked up by all the outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason that I wonder, because I think that leadership, for all of their power and manipulation behind the scenes, they want to set the narrative.
Yeah.
And they want to be in charge of what the message of session is. And that is not how they wanted to start session. And I wonder if that kicked off his legislative tour in a bad way. Yeah. And then he just continued to dig in.
Yeah. No, I think that is exactly right. So since our last episode, and one of the biggest, like, kind of gossipy drama things that happened with with Representative Lee, so HB 88 was his bill that targeted undocumented immigrants, that removed every exemption that currently exists for undocumented people to get public assistance, things like vaccines, domestic violence help, homeless shelters, food banks, communicable disease testing, just, like, everything, like, literally any, like, healthcare, everything. This bill got watered down so many times because Trevor Lee is toxic and terrible. And again, go listen to our last episode if you have more questions about that. But it got to the floor, and in its 6th version, so it had been substituted 6 times already, and then it got circled and it got which like basically means they put it on pause and they can come back to it if they want to. And it got circled to death this year. So HB 88 died on the board at the end of session. They actually sent it back to rules at some point, but like it just didn't move after that. But he took the version that would have been the 7th substitute and added it into a different bill, HB 386.
Which seemed to be his favorite move of the session.
Yes.
He was trying to do this with multiple bills.
This was like the second or third time that he did that this year.
Yeah. Which I think already people, legislators in particular, who care about the process don't like.
Yeah.
So that started it off on a bad foot. But he tried to substitute this into this non-bill. Like, it was a bill that did nothing.
Yeah. It just, like, revoked some work programs that weren't federally enforceable anymore. That also had to do with immigration, so... But yeah, this what was left in it would have, you know, restricted undocumented kids from getting in-state tuition, certain scholarships, would have restricted first-time homebuyer programs, state retirement programs, and a couple other things, which are still really bad. But yeah, this procedural nonsense after some really incredible speeches on the floor about this bill, it ultimately did pass by a pretty small margin relative to the supermajority that the Republicans have. And then we got a lot of questions. We got questions every single day in our DMs, in our comments, in person, like what is going on with this bill, because it's a really bad piece of legislation and people were worried about it. And we didn't know for a while what happened to it.
This is so funny because this perfectly embodies like the legislative process.
And Trevor Lee's reputation.
And so this passed off of the House side on a Friday. And people were upset. People started calling their senators, knowing that this bill was going over to the Senate. And it became a poison pill. So bad that not a single senator wanted to put their name by it to run it in the Senate. And so... Which
you have to have in order for it to go to the other chamber.
Yeah, and so bills have to have 2 sponsors, one in each house. And the sponsor in the other house needs to be able to like speak to it, to present to it on the floor, to answer questions.
Put their literal name on it.
And nobody would do it. They never picked it up. So it just died in this weird limbo between the House and the Senate.
Which I've never seen happen before.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So toxic that not a single... And there are senators that run this legislation.
Oh,
there are senators that would put
there
their
are
name
some
by
proper... Look, the whole theme of the rest of this conversation is going to hinge on, like, the Senate kind of saving the day. This is not to say that they are progressive champions and that they care about undocumented immigrants. Let's be perfectly clear about that. This is about their reputation, their own reelection, and the fact that Trevor Lee has become such a pariah that no one wants to associate with him at all.
And them being able to get their own bills past the finish line. Because if they were to do that, it would have... The rest of their bills would have gotten caught up in the drama, which we have a fun story on that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fascinating the way that this bill died. And I think this is also one of the things that we've been talking about a lot is like... It doesn't really matter if this bill passed or didn't. Like, I mean, it does ultimately for a lot of people, but the narrative is already there.
Yeah.
The intent is already there.
The damage has been done.
The damage is done. And these pieces of legislation, I mean, Trevor Lee was super explicit in his motivation was to get people to, quote, self-deport. But, like... The damage is done no matter what. Even if Harvey Milk Boulevard isn't renamed to Charlie Milk Boulevard, it's
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Milk. That's good.
Charlie Milk Boulevard is amazing. A compromise, if you will.
Too much milk this session in my life.
The Charlie Raw Milk Boulevard bill.
Actually, there's an idea.
I put it on a t-shirt.
Charlie Raw Milk Boulevard. Ew.
That's so funny.
It's so gross.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't ultimately matter because like everyone that was even paying a little bit of attention heard about anti-trans stuff, the like flag stuff, the Harvey Milk Boulevard stuff, and the anti-immigration stuff. And even if they didn't pass any of it, like this is
the narrative.
And it's probably really annoying for leadership where they're like, we want to talk about water and child literacy and nuclear energy and whatever other dumb shit they want to talk about. Like, not that that's dumb, that's important, but you know what I mean? Like, they can't. And they can still try, but like, it's not as sexy because someone gave the media like a little carrot to be like, this is fun clickbait, come do this.
Yeah.
The other 2 legislators that were kind of in this same Trevor Lee, like, punishment bucket. I don't know what you'd call this.
Timeout.
They're in timeout for sure. The other one was Nicolene Peck. Nicolene Peck was elected in 2024.
Last year was really her first session.
I think so.
Yeah,
because there was a bunch of freshman women that were Anyway, I can't believe it's only been that long. She came in as like a homeschooling, anti-vax, sort of like religious sort of lady. Like, you know the type. I don't need to explain this to you, but one of them. And she has really come in hot the last couple of years, passing a bunch of like MAHA related legislation, stuff that has to do with the sensitive material stuff. She's obsessed with like quote unquote pornography in our libraries and our public schools. And then a lot of pro-life and anti-immigrant, anti-drug stuff. Like, it's just like the most perfect epitome of who she is. And I think part of her problem this year was less so that her legislation was toxic or that she was on the internet too much, although there's some good stuff about her on the internet. If you would like to go watch her episode of World's Strictest Parents, you can do that.
Highly recommend.
Or her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was that people just genuinely were annoyed by her.
She's annoying.
She is someone who would stand up and ask a question on almost every single bill that came through the House, which is really atypical, especially when they only have 45 days. Someone that wants to take up time on every single bill to ask like kind of dumb questions or questions that she doesn't know the answer to that everyone else knows the answer to, or she's talking about the wrong bill, that by the end of session, so if they're going to ask a question to like the sponsor of a bill on the floor, they have to ask like, will the sponsor yield to a question? And by the end of the session, they all just started saying no. Whenever Nicolene Peck had a question, like, no, I will not yield to a question. Move on. And like, I think they just didn't like her, and they found her to be annoying, and so they killed most of her bills.
Yeah,
she got 2 passed. She ran 14, 2 passed, 12 died. Classic. 12 deaths.
I feel like this is what we mean by the small p politics and the relationships of it all, though, is like they just genuinely don't like her.
I just think they find her to be annoying, which I also find her to be annoying. Again, we don't know this to be true, but like the vibes on the floor were very much like.
She also, she does eat a full cucumber on the floor every day.
She does.
I don't know if she did it this session.
Uncut cucumber.
Last session, she ate a cucumber, like banana style.
We'll put a picture in here.
We have some pictures that are iconic.
And then she gave a gift this year, too.
Her gift was cucumbers. Well, I don't know if she actually gave cucumbers or just the note was cucumber.
Yeah, a little note about cucumbers, because apparently it's become pretty emblematic of her. And unfortunately, unlike Cal Musselman, where it was kind of charming and funny, this was not funny. It was just weird. Anyways, Nicolene Peck. I'm sure we'll come back to some of her legislation. And then the third piece of this big puzzle here is Nate Bluen. Nate is a state senator, a Democrat, my representative, who is now running for Congress.
And he's not the only person running for Congress this session.
No, he is not. Kathleen Reeby also running for Congress. But let's see.
Maybe Carrie-Ann Lisenby.
And maybe Carrie-Ann Lisenby. Yes, that's the other T. She might run against Blake Moore, which I think is great. Go do that, Carrie-Ann.
You should do that, Carrie-Ann. Highly
encourage it. I think that's great.
Please.
But Nate Bluen also went 0-12 this year.
Wow.
Which is, I think, I don't know that, I have to double check, and I'm not going to do that right now. Like, it seems like he ran more bills this session than he has in previous sessions.
I think so.
But Nate is someone who, when he came in, the other members of the Senate made it quite clear that they were not interested in letting him pass even one single piece of legislation. And with this being his last general session, since he's not running for his re-election and running for Congress, he will have never passed a bill. Ever. Which is, one, a huge bummer, because as a constituent of his, and like he represents a giant portion of Democrats, that we didn't get any wins just kind of sucks, like, as someone who, you know, is here. But it's also like not really a lot that he could have control over unless he was really going to go grovel and like try and get these people to be on his team again. But a lot of the bills that he ran this year were really, really progressive. He ran the anti-ICE bill. He ran a bill raising the minimum wage. He ran a bill on workers' rights. He ran another bill on the Great Salt Lake. He did a lot of things this year that were good pieces of legislation.
Really good policy.
But were also very clearly
messaging bills.
Yeah, for his campaign to
Yeah.
say, like, I have tried to pass X, Y, and Z in order to, like, check some progressive boxes, which, like, look, we run campaigns, we get it. Like, I'm not surprised by this.
It's a good strategy, yeah.
It's not a bad strategy at all, but it also, I think he's probably the only other person in the entire body that didn't pass anything.
That's probably
aside
right.
from, like, maybe leadership who doesn't really run bills. That's, like, not what they do.
But, like, there are... How many Democrats between the House and the Senate?
6 and 14, 20.
20. There are 20 Democrats between each chamber, and every single one of them passes bills.
Yeah.
Like,
even if they're the most, like, minuscule changes.
Yeah. And, like, that's really hard for a Democrat to do in this supermajority.
And some of them that are really good pass really important big things, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just that they're passing little things. Like, a lot of them are really important bills, too.
Yeah. And I think we very much understand the role of a outspoken, progressive firebrand.
Totally.
I think there's a role for it on both sides, right? You have the Trevor Lee, and you have, we are them too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also really important policy, and I think it's worth giving some recognition to the Democrats who are able to work together with someone on the other side to actually pass meaningful changes.
And to, like, they are just as mad about a lot of this stuff as everybody else, but a lot of them have so much restraint because they know that they still care enough about passing the things that are important to them that they're not going to fight every battle. Which, again, different strategies are both important, and we understand that, but it's just interesting to see the dynamic and, like, how ineffective you can be by being that person that is a firebrand. I mean, we saw this, in previous sessions with Derek Kitchen, same sort of thing. Like, Nate became the new Derek, unfortunately.
Jim
DeBacchus before that. Yeah, like, there's, in the Senate especially, there's, like, one person that is, like, the most progressive that everyone just decides is too progressive for the Senate, and they never get anything done, which sucks.
And it's just it all goes back to the relationships. It's all because of not the things that happen on the floor, although sometimes that impacts it.
Totally.
But it's all the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's all of their personal interactions with each other that actually make the difference here. And it's hard sometimes to describe that to other folks too, because it's like, I can tell you this bill died, because it is a terrible piece of legislation, but unfortunately the bill died because, like, Trevor Lee's toxic.
Yes, that's
right. And that doesn't feel as much like a win sometimes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it's like you really wish that they would care about it on its merits. And I will say, especially on some of Trevor Lee's anti-trans bills and the anti-immigration bill on HB 88, there were several Republicans who were opposed to this on the merits of the bill and on the impact. And, like, I do want to make sure that we give them credit for that, because it really does matter in a supermajority state that there are some Republicans that are more moderate that are like, hey, now, like, we're going too far. But most of the time it's not about that. It's about the fact that they don't like this person and they don't want them to have a win. Yeah.
A couple other stories about the process or the bills, dying because of this behind the scenes drama. I do think it's important to talk about what being in a supermajority really is. And we say supermajority all the time, and it means something, I think, very different than it does to the average person.
Yeah.
But being in a supermajority legislature not only changes who controls what happens, but also very small pieces of the process that ends up translating to how bills get passed or don't. And so in a supermajority like this, when they are in committees, they can have one Democrat on a committee of 5 or 6, or they can have 2 Democrats in a committee of 10. And, like, sometimes if there are 4 or 5 Republicans that are, for some reason, have stepped out of the committee, bills can live or die because of that small minority.
Whoever's left on the dais.
Yeah. And so, like, supermajority is actually, like, a technical term about how much power they have to govern. And if we were to be able to break that supermajority,
which is over 2/3 in both chambers, Republicans have over 2/3 of the members in both the House and the Senate.
So we'd need to pick up 12 seats in the House and then another 4 in the Senate, or breaking it in one chamber. And that would give Democrats a much bigger control, or much more powerful control of this process. But I think on a couple of particular bills this year, we saw that committee dynamic at play, which was really interesting for the drama in me.
Totally, yeah. So starting with HB 479, which is being run by Jefferson Burton in the House. Whatever, he's fine. He's like not one of the worst ones. However, he has for multiple years in a row run the big anti-vote by mail bill. So he ran it last year, and then he ran it again this year. This year was HB 479, which basically gutted all the vote by mail processing. You'd have to go return your ballot in person. You would have to have round-the-clock staffed drop boxes, increase the number of polling locations. This would have cost like tens of millions of dollars for every county to implement all of these changes, which is just bad policy, first of all. But second of all, this policy would have also hurt rural districts more than anybody else, which are mostly conservative districts. And so, like, again, I will never understand why they want to get rid of vote by mail, because it is objectively good for Republicans. That's neither here nor there. But so he presented this bill in the House. There was a lot of concern about it. It ended up passing the House.
The whole House, like the committee and the House floor.
Yeah. So we were all stressed, right? It gets assigned to a Senate committee.
Also, considering this is the second year that this bill has been run,
is
important, because like they've already had this conversation. Yeah. Usually you see those bills that are being run the second year, they usually pass, because usually the sponsor has done enough work.
They do some compromising.
The year that the bill has been at least floated and is ready to like move past the finish line.
Yeah. Which is kind of what we all thought about this. When it passed the House, we were like, oh shit, like this is going to be bad for everybody. Yeah. So we get to Senate committee, and they didn't even hear public comment. The Senate sponsor, who was on the committee, Mike McKell, basically shut it down. And he was like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not listening to this bill. Bye.
He moved to the next agenda item.
It was his bill.
That's the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, everyone was shocked. There were so many people there to testify against it, and they just were like, nope, anyway, we're moving on. Goodbye. You're dismissed, Representative.
Something must have been going on, because the fact that their Bill's own sponsor killed it is crazy.
Look, we don't know what happened. Again, this is the gossip. What we heard multiple things that could have happened. One, we heard that Mike McKell never agreed to be the Senate sponsor, and that Jefferson Burton just put him on the bill, and he was so mad about that, he killed the bill in his own committee. We heard that he didn't...
Icon behavior.
Honestly, if that's what happened, shout out. We heard that he didn't like the bill at all, and he was the sponsor of it so he could kill it. This also could have been something that, like, the governor... Also, Mike McKell is the governor's brother-in-law. It's important to know. The governor could have not liked this bill. Leadership could have decided they didn't like this bill. Or he could have just genuinely, like, not cared about it and didn't want to waste time on it. We don't know. But clearly something was happening, and that bill just died and never came back. Which is great for everybody. But, like, some real drama went down with that.
Yes.
And, like, again, not on the merits of the policy.
Nope.
Just personal politics. They were like, never mind. We want to keep vote by mail. Goodbye. It was wild.
It's crazy.
It was crazy.
Or like the things that we think are crazy. I'm sure these people out here are like, whoa.
Yeah. They moved to the next agenda item. Can you believe it?
No way. What?
Again, our lives are so lame sometimes. I think people are like, this sounds so exciting. I'm like, yeah, he moved on from the agenda item.
He made a motion.
He made a motion to move. Yeah, no, not good. Anyway.
Okay, some more fun tea. If you're a person that's listening, you're gonna love this now.
Yeah. The people that care enough to listen to this probably think it's dramatic.
It's good. So there was some other fun drama that we couldn't quite track down what was going on until we did some investigating.
Yes, we got the drama from other people. Allegedly. Alleged drama.
This is about to get us in trouble.
This is gossip.
Yeah.
No, just make sure don't say anything that could make it clear who said it.
No, okay, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So there was a bill being run. It had to do with taxes. I don't really know or care to know what the policy was. And there are a few things that happen during session. First of all, leadership, who, when we say leadership, we typically mean the Speaker of the House and the Senate President.
Yes.
And there's like a few other members of leadership, but the Speaker and the Senate President are both very, very powerful.
Yes.
And you see this manifested in a lot of ways, but like they're not in committees. You don't see them speaking in committees. They're not on the floor, like making public comment or making statements about bills.
Yeah, we saw one time this year that happened.
Yep.
They hardly ever even sponsor legislation. The only time this happened this year was the Speaker of the House ran one bill.
Yeah.
And it passed very quickly. And
yes,
it did get amended. He like did I think a decent job of like making some amendments to it, but it's really weird to see him on the floor. That was the only time. One bill in the House, none in the Senate.
I think we saw it in like he spoke on a couple of bills on the floor too, but
right. But like
sometimes sometimes they will also run one piece of legislation together, like the Senate President and the Speaker. Mm-hmm. They didn't have one of those this year, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And so they do all of their working behind the scenes. So like they're texting and calling representatives, they're holding things in rules for certain reasons that have to do with politics. Like they are doing all of it by pulling strings behind the scenes.
Yes. And if there's something that they want, a bill that they want run, they give it to their most trusted person or like someone that they think will run it and will do a good job with it. Like they will just say like, this is your bill now, go run it.
Yes. But like all of the legislators know that like this is the Speaker's bill.
Yes, everyone knows who the president and the Speaker's bills are.
Like and, this is an important bill because like behind the scenes the Speaker is like really pushing for this
and
bill.
Like don't speak against it or all your bills are going to get held in rules.
Yeah, all your bills are going to die.
Yeah.
Which is so powerful and crazy and something no one ever sees.
No.
Like ever.
We don't always know which bills are like Speaker's bills or the president's bills until like pretty far down the process when you start kind of seeing this happen or someone will like mention like, oh, this is like the Speaker's bill, like in the hallways or something.
Yeah. Before we get to the really big dramatic one though, there were 2 or 3 bills that we saw happen in committee where clearly it was a priority for leadership and they would like die in committee almost on accident, it seemed.
Yeah, there was like one judiciary bill, there was the transportation bill,
and the auditor bill.
Oh, yes, and the bill that affected the auditor. That, like, I don't know if, like, some of the people left before the vote, so they didn't have enough people to kill it, or if they thought they, like, miscoordinated and they thought somebody else was going to vote yes so they could vote no. But, like, a bunch of bills, like, will accidentally die.
Yeah, and you then see them take the vote. They take the vote, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, the chair of the committee, it, like, looks very confused and stressed. Like, they know they're about to get yelled at, and they're like, that bill fails to pass.
Yeah.
It's like so awkward.
So, and sometimes somebody will take a surprise vote or like something, but this is where this like these small committees where there's only like 4 votes that make the difference.
Yeah.
Like really you see some crazy stuff happen. And this happened a few times on bills that like they killed them, they accidentally killed them. And then they either got brought back up later in that same committee.
Yeah.
So you could see that there were some texts or calls being made to the legislators on the committee that was like, what the fuck did you vote that way?
What did you do? Like, trust me, you need to flip your vote right now.
And if you don't,
which does happen, we see that happen all the time.
You will see the consequences.
Yes, correct.
So that happened a couple of times. They'd bring it back up later in that committee, and you'd see a couple legislators flip their votes to the other side. Or like have to schedule a whole nother committee meeting. That's what happened with SB 242, the transportation bill, where like they had to schedule an entire new committee just to hear that bill again.
Yeah.
And like they can manipulate every piece of that process.
Yeah. They
can schedule a new committee. They can set it on the agenda. They can do these things where it's like, if that actually meant that bill was dead, it would, they would not be good at this process, but because they can control every single thing that goes on, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So back to this other big drama. So there was a bill that we think it had to do with taxes. I cannot remember. It's not really that important.
There's 1,000 bills in our head, so
yes. But this was a bill that we heard only afterwards was the Speaker's bill, that he was having a representative run.
It made it through the House just fine.
Of course it did.
Of course it did.
Of course it did.
Because that's his chamber.
Yes. And then when it made it to the Senate, Dan McKay killed it.
There was a committee meeting. There were 4 senators that were present in the committee meeting. Some of them were like out in other committees or had stepped out of the room or whatever. 4 of them were present. This bill came in, and you saw Dan McKay, Lincoln Fillmore, and another senator, we don't remember who, all vote to kill this bill.
Yep.
So it failed with a vote of three votes.
Yeah.
It took to kill this bill.
Yes. And like only one person voted for it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really weird. And we were like, okay, whatever. Like, that's
care.
fine. Like, I don't know. Anytime something gets killed in the Senate by Republicans, we're always like, oh, interesting. Okay. And then we all move on with our day because, like, who cares? It's not a bill that we were following.
And this is where, like, escalations were already rising between the House and the Senate, clearly.
Yeah. This was, like, maybe last week that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, pretty typical. Like, towards the end of session, like, it's far less, like, Democrat versus Republican and more, like, the chambers are fighting with each other. Mm-hmm. Which... whatever.
Because they get upset that their bills, like, on one side get to the other side and then die.
And they're like, oh, these people don't know anything about my bill and they killed it and they're dumb and they're wrong and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So Dan McKay and Lincoln Fillmore killed this bill. And things got incredibly dramatic from there.
Yes.
Rumor has it.
Allegedly. The gossip is
Dan McKay was on the House floor. He was taking a little visit, a little walk over to the House side.
Right after he murdered the Speaker's bill.
Right after, the same day. And he theoretically got escorted by the Greencoats, the guys that run the Senate and are the employee security guards.
They're very nice.
He got escorted off of the House floor.
Which,
drama.
That never happens. Ever. It was wild. Then a bunch of McKay's bills and Fillmore's bills all died in House committee, like one after another the same day and the next day. Then, sort of in retaliation, we heard that a bunch of bills got like caught in the crosshairs of the fighting.
Yeah, and you saw like in the course of like 2 days, like 10 bills died between the chambers.
Which like... Great for us. We mentioned this on the TikTok. There were like 4 of Lincoln Fillmore's bills in one committee and 3 of them died.
Yeah.
It was insane.
And they do this in the most like evil way possible. They make these representatives go sit in the committee and like present their bills and then they just like
no.
pass.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But then apparently, so then they brought that bill back, is my understanding. The Speaker's bill.
They had another committee very quickly.
Yes. And then they passed the Speaker's bill. And then, what we can only assume was a show of good faith. Dan McKay came over from the Senate to the House and sat on the dais next to the Speaker of the House for like 20 minutes. Which we were wondering if he was in timeout. It sounds like this was them trying to say that, like, we're friends again.
We're chill.
Stop murdering everyone's bills. This was, like, their ceremonial peace agreement signing.
You don't see other representatives go sit on the dais, ever.
No, especially senators.
Yeah, like, ever. Sometimes you'll see representatives go up and, like, talk to the Speaker or talk to the Senate president, but none of them ever go sit and talk up there. And he was up there for a while.
He was. It was incredible. We loved it.
Yep. That was fun.
Yeah.
We're talking about no actual policy here. We are like just straight up talking about gossip.
I
love it.
If you would like to go read the recap that Ben Winslow did that's very, very long about what passed and what didn't, you are welcome to do that. He's not going to tell you this, though.
Yeah.
It's not going to tell you the drama.
Reporters aren't. They're too good to...
Well, yeah. They're actually
real reporters
being
without
objective,
bias.
Not me. I'm here for the drama.
Yeah, well, we're gonna write a whole Substack about what happened and what died and what didn't, but
for sure,
you know what? We're having fun.
That's for later.
This is the weekend after session. Let us live.
Let us talk about the drama, please.
Yeah. So while there was a lot of drama happening behind the scenes, I do feel like this session was weird and interesting because for the first time in a long time, at least in my like experience of watching legislative session, there was more important things happening in other Utah politics that were not the session. And the redistricting and the Prop 4 battle, I think, set this like overarching narrative or theme for the session that just continued to like lead the way. Yeah. Yeah, typically like whatever they are doing is the only thing that gets coverage, the only thing people are talking about, like,
in the small like circle in Utah political world. But yeah, between the 2 referendums that both got dropped, the ballot initiative that they're running, the signature gatherers, the lawsuits, everything, like that was the most important thing happening. And yeah, we also heard this put blinders on them in some ways when they were not worried about any of these other, they didn't have any other real priorities. Like they were solely focused on making sure that they could gerrymander our congressional districts again and what they can do to make that happen.
Yeah. And you also saw it in the policy too, in some interesting creative ways.
Yeah, this was a fine session. It was a tolerable session for most people, except for the judiciary.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I guess to zoom out and rewind a little bit, the things that were taking over this were that last year the Supreme Court and the 3rd District ruled in the people's favor and against the legislature, saying that they were wrong when they gerrymandered our congressional districts. And the 3rd District Court put into place a new congressional map. And the legislature was incredibly upset that they were not the people to draw the map. They believe strongly that the Constitution gives them the authority, even though it also gives the people equal authority.
Yeah.
And so they've found a lot of creative ways to retaliate.
Yeah, both on the judiciary and the people that are running the defense of Prop 4.
Yeah. Interestingly, like similar to Trevor Lee, I think Matt McPherson was one of the representatives that very much came out very loudly saying that he was going to impeach the judge and that he had filed impeachment paperwork. We were expecting to see that this session. We didn't see that.
Nope.
No, the ways that we saw them retaliate were more manipulative and more creative.
And more structural.
Yes, and far, far more structural, which was very interesting.
Yeah. So one of the first things that was a clear priority, which they had started talking about before the session, was packing the Supreme Court.
God, that feels like so long ago.
Doesn't that feel like eternity ago? Which is so funny because we also heard, again, gossip behind the scenes that Republicans also were talking about this as court packing, and then they got advised that court packing sounds bad, so they kept calling it court stacking, which is like also just as bad.
I don't know what the words mean.
Pack them and stack them. Once again, our bill name accurate. So this was one of the very first things that they passed that was a huge priority for both the governor and leadership and everyone. So they passed a bill that expanded the Supreme Court from 5 justices to 7 justices, which was a poison pill in the bigger bill, which also gave a bunch of new resources to the courts that they had been asking for. This packing of the Supreme Court is a huge problem, especially when there is pending litigation that the legislature is a party in that is in front of the Supreme Court. The fact that they want to expand it and pack it with more conservative justices in an attempt to flip the outcomes in their favor is fundamentally not only an overreach of separation of powers, it's also like a super blatant and kind of horrific thing to be doing. And it also has really long-term consequences.
I also think, back to what we were talking about earlier, is like this is another example of the legislature has this supermajority. They have full control, and they control every single, like I think of them as like this puppet master, and they have like a string on every single piece of the puppet with the exception of the judiciary. And they are so angry that they cannot control exactly what is happening in the judiciary in their favor. And the ways that they are able to work around that are just like astounding. Yeah,
100%. Especially when the judge that keeps telling them no is a very cool woman of color who's not married, which we can't. She's too smart and she's too much of a woman.
Her emotions are controlling.
I know. She must just be an activist judge or whatever. It's so silly. So yeah, so they packed the Supreme Court. They proposed like 13 or 14 different pieces of legislation that had to do with the independence of the judiciary. About half of them did not pass, which I think the judiciary fared the worst this session, I will say.
Yeah.
Which is super unfortunate. Some of the bigger things that they could have done, there was no appetite for. I think mostly because a lot of members of the legal community and the courts themselves were working behind the scenes and calling their legislators and being like, hey, this is not okay. But they did pass a few things that have to do with the way that the judges are evaluated in their retention elections. So there's like a panel of people that says whether a judge should be retained or not and gives them like a score. They changed that process a bit. And then the other big thing that they did was they tried to pass something called a constitutional court. Concord. Concord. Not good though. Not fun. Concord. Yeah, so they watered it down a little bit, but essentially it's like this 3-judge panel now that lawsuits against the state if they had to do with the constitutionality of a bill that became law. And if they were seeking an injunction saying, like, we want to pause the implementation of this law before it goes into effect while it goes through the courts. So if it meets those criteria, the governor, legislature, or attorney general can move it to this 3-judge panel that decides the constitutionality of it. This was way worse in the beginning. It's still not good now. And there's actually already a lawsuit because the court packing bill and the Concord bill, they passed super quickly and the governor signed immediately.
Yep. And groups, League of Women Voters and Mormon Women for Ethical Government and a few other groups immediately put in a lawsuit against the Constitutional Court saying that it was unconstitutional.
Yes. And I think it was tacked on to a current ongoing lawsuit that they added. But also say, like, it is now an ongoing litigation.
Yeah. So I think the legislature immediately saw that litigation and moved to change the rules yet again.
Because they were still in session, so they said, why not? Let's just do something else
actually,
real
there's
quick.
still time. We can do whatever actually the hell we want.
That's true. That's a really good point.
So here we go.
So fuck you, courts. Yeah.
So they found another bill that they then changed.
love doing this year.
This is their favorite move. I feel like they think that people aren't gonna miss it, or they're not gonna.
Or that like we're just not gonna notice.
Or
no, we notice.
No, we can tell. Yeah, no. It's all there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they added this new provision in another bill that said if courts strike down their constitutional court situation,
the Concord panel, tri-court.
The amount of times this is saying unconstitutional, and this is so confusing.
Yes.
That it will create essentially a workaround so that they can still have this 3-judge panel. They also opened it up so that not just the governor, the attorney general, the legislature are the party that can move this suit into the 3-judge panel, but now any party in the case can. And I think that addresses the constitutionality concern that the lawsuit had.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like a trigger law. Like, if you guys strike this down, we're going to create a constitutional court anyway. Yeah. That will only exist if you tell us we can't do this other version.
It's impressive, honestly.
It was, yeah. I mean, like, bad for outcomes, but yeah, super interesting. But yeah, the courts really got worked over this year, unfortunately. It could have been worse again, like, which sucks to say because it's not helpful, but like, it could have been worse. Yeah. But it's still pretty bad.
The other, I think, interesting procedural manipulation that we saw in them changing the rules in their favor happened on the last night of session at 11:30 p.m., which...
Yeah, it was like...
By then, Gabby and I were sitting in the Senate delusional.
What? Seriously, we looked up, we were like, wait, I'm sorry, what's happening now?
Which was very strange.
Back it up.
Oh, play the tape. And so they had this bill that was, again, a non-factor.
It was a fine bill. It basically said that, like, the people that are trying to remove signatures from an initiative or referendum have to follow the same rules as the people that gather those signatures. Like, they have to say if they're paid and,
to wear a little badge.
You have to
whatever.
It was fine. It was like, okay, that makes sense. Like,
it was because, the removal effort for this Prop 4 initiative that is now going on because the legislature is having to follow the rules that they have put in place.
That are very difficult.
The rules that they put in place was that people have 45 days to remove their signature after their signature's been validated, which is now hilarious that they are having to use this process. And now they are, like, stressed about this removal because it's being used against them. Yeah. And so since people are removing their signature, I think it triggered some conversation that they need to update these laws for signature removal, which I think is fine. It probably is correct that they do need to update them. Yeah. But at 11:30 at night on the last night, they added a new change to this bill that specifically went after Better Boundaries and the groups that are trying to get people to remove their signatures.
Because they were manipulated into signing it in the first place, to be clear.
Manipulated and lied to.
Like, straight up lied to,
in many cases. Yep. and
fraud.
Sometimes
there's actual signature fraud for the first time. I feel like everything is a full circle moment now.
It's
I feel
crazy.
like the like Phil Lyman people that are like, this was signature fraud, but it was actually.
It was fraud. So yeah, they're trying to get people to remove their signatures, and one of the ways that they're doing that is by mailing because they make it hard to do this. You have to fill out a form. You have to take that form in person. And it has to be like
a wet ink signature. You have to actually print it out and sign it yourself, and then bring it to the clerk.
Yeah,
which is not an easy process.
So they've been sending that form to people with a prepaid stamp for them to send it back to the clerk's office.
Yeah, very clever,
very smart. And at 11:30 at night, they were like, "Oh, we should probably make that illegal."
What if we banned prepaid postage for removal efforts? What if we did that? Yep. So they did that, which kind of really sucks, actually.
It's just like, if I didn't hate it so much, I would be like,
I'd respect it.
Respect game, you know? Like, they really are good at changing the rules for themselves.
Yeah, but the thing that they're stupid about is that they only have 45 days to do it. And somehow this year, like, so many factors converge during these 45 days, which normally doesn't happen. It's like all the rest of the year when, like, they call themselves into a special session and blah, 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 and, like, they do the lawsuits. But, like, the running for Congress, the Prop 4 stuff, the removal effort, and the legislative session all happened at the same time. And it was just very chaotic, but yeah, they did change that. And so now it's going to be interesting to see how the removal and rescission coalition kind of changes their tactics to try and implement this. Because, the governor already signed that bill. And
crazy.
It is now law.
He
day
signed
after
only
session.
11 bills the day after session.
10 bills that did basically nothing. One bill that was very important, this one. So
crazy that was one of his priority bills.
Interesting.
I wonder why. Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a full circle, I guess, to how we started this, but like, we say so much that this process is intentionally hard to track.
Yeah.
And the only reason that we are able to do it is because this is our full-time job and that we have the time and privilege to pay attention to what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But this session and these examples really drive home, I think, that it's all for them. Like, this is all a show for themselves. It's all a process to manipulate their own rules in their favor. It's all trying to change the mechanism so that they have more power. Mm-hmm. And I think because we're optimists and because we believe the state is changing and we're going to be able to make some progress, like, I think it will come back to bite them. I hope it comes back to bite them.
Yeah. But
I don't know. It's like it's an interesting feeling post-session because it's a relief that they're done. Like, they now have to wait an entire year unless they bring themselves back into a special session or something that, like, to manipulate the rules in their favor. Yeah. But it is also just like a reminder that, like, why would anyone care about this that wasn't these people? And if you are a normal person and, like, session felt overwhelming or that you can't track it or that you don't understand what's going on, like, that's okay. And like, that's actually probably good. Like, we don't need to give them any more attention than they need for the things that they're already gonna do no matter what.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's true. And I think the other thing that this session was a reminder of is, like, yes, they kill a lot of things that are bad because of personal beef. Mm-hmm. But that also, like, and this was pointed out by a couple of groups in sort of their recaps as well, that, like, the legislature actually can still, even in 2026, do good work and collaborate when they choose to do that. Yeah. And we haven't seen a lot of that lately. Or at least we don't talk about it that much. But, like,
and in national politics too, like,
totally. Yeah. And it's like it's not what people want to hear. People don't want, like, it's not interesting to hear about bipartisanship, even though I wish it was, but, like, it just isn't as interesting. Like, people are fueled by moral superiority instead of, like, genuine disagreements or agreements. And so, you know, we did see a lot of really good things happen, like with the Great Salt Lake this year. They passed a huge package of bills that had to do with the lake, which is great. Is it going to solve our problem? I don't know, but they did something. And
did some good work on housing.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, and not to mention, too, that I think they all got a bit of an appetite at the end of the session when Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that we need to make the Great Salt Lake great again, which, shout out, I think he's a despicable human being, and I hate him for so many, 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 many reasons. But also, if he wants to collaborate with the state on saving the lake, we should not be like looking away at that and being like, no, don't do it. Like, if you care about an issue, if you genuinely care about it, you will work with anybody to fix that problem. And so, yeah, there were a bunch of bills that got passed and some resolutions that were great. Like you mentioned, the housing stuff. There was really good work on some transit issues outside of the transit bill that we've talked about, like trying to streamline those issues, trying to help on some of like ethics reforms and nuclear energy and other forms of energy. Like, there were some good things that happened this year because they chose to collaborate, and it's nice to know they can still do that. But also, those are not the things that are priorities for most of these people. And 9 times out of 10, they want to make sure that they are changing the rules for themselves, that they are getting their messaging out there, and that they are doing what they think will put them in the best graces of either the state legislative leadership, the governor, or the president. Or Charlie Kirk's ghost, who we did hear about quite a lot this session.
Oh, man.
We did. He's haunting our
Ghost
session.
of Charlie Milk Kirk.
Charlie Raw Milk Kirk Boulevard. If you came to this podcast or this YouTube video for a full recap of what exactly passed and what did not pass, first of all, I apologize.
Our brains are tired.
I'm sleepy. But the good news is that we are going to do a longer breakdown on a lot of these things that passed and didn't pass, and good bills and bad bills in our Substack. So look out for that in the next coming days. There are also some other great resources. You can look at Alliance for a Better Utah. Ben Winslow always does a really good recap of what's passed. That is already up, so you can take a look at that too. And if you have any more drama,
if you have any gossip, or if you're a Republican legislator out there listening and you ever need an outlet,
or you want to give us a correction, or you would like us to talk about your drama, we're happy to do that.
DMs are open.
DMs are always open for you. Yeah. Let us know. And with that, shout out to Cal Musselman and his fingernail clippers.
And we'll leave you with a clip of Cal Musselman clipping his fingernails.
Snip, snip.
Snip, snip.
The second question, Mr. President, there was a threshold in the bill stated that at a certain level that needs to go to all the citizens. Under that level, is the truth in taxation implemented by the taxing entity?